Why is America so stupid? America, land of the free, home of the brave, and, apparently, the ignorant? Today, we're tackling a topic that's been brewing for a while. Is America stupid? It's a loaded question, but let's dive in and see if the stereotype holds any water. 1. The cult of celebrity, idolizing the idiotic. Welcome to the United States of celebrity worship, where fame trumps talent, and infamy is just another stepping stone to fortune. It's a land where reality TV stars become presidents, influencers dictate fashion trends, and the Kardashians are somehow considered relevant. In this cultural wasteland, we've elevated mediocrity to a pedestal and crowned ignorance as queen. We idolize those who are famous for being famous, who have amassed fortunes by flaunting their wealth and showcasing their vapidity. We become a nation of voyeurs, obsessed with the lives of the rich and famous. We follow their every move, dissect their outfits, and obsess over their relationship dramas. We've traded substance for spectacle, critical thinking for mindless entertainment. Who needs to know about Einstein's theory of relativity when you can recite the lyrics to the latest TikTok song? Who cares about Shakespeare's plays when you can binge-watch the latest season of The Bachelor? Our obsession with celebrity has seeped into our politics, our culture, our very sense of self. We've allowed the vapid and the vacuous to dictate our values, to shape our discourse, to influence our decisions. In this upside-down world, intellectuals are dismissed as elitists, while those who flaunt their ignorance are celebrated. We've created a society where it's cooler to be clueless than to be informed. But amidst the noise and the nonsense, there are voices of dissent. There are those who refuse to be spoon-fed mindless entertainment, who demand more from our culture, who believe in the power of ideas and the importance of knowledge. They remind us that fame is fleeting, but knowledge is enduring. They show us that true heroes are not found on reality TV, but in the laboratories, classrooms, and communities where people are working to make the world a better place. They are the hope for a brighter future, a future where we value substance over spectacle, where we celebrate intellect over ignorance, and where we recognize that true celebrity lies not in fame or fortune, but in the pursuit of knowledge and the betterment of humanity. 2. The decline of critical thinking. Where's Waldo? And the facts? Mindless scrolling, where attention spans are shorter than a goldfish's memory, and critical thinking is about as common as a unicorn sighting. It's a land where clickbait headlines reign supreme, where conspiracy theories spread like wildfire, and where the truth is buried under an avalanche of misinformation. We become a nation of digital zombies, mindlessly consuming content without ever stopping to question its validity. We're so addicted to the dopamine rush of likes, shares, and retweets that we've sacrificed our ability to think for ourselves. In this post-truth era, facts are subjective, opinions are gospel, and the loudest voices often drown out the most reasoned arguments. We've traded critical thinking for confirmation bias, intellectual curiosity for mindless consumption. We become a nation of trolls and keyboard warriors, more interested in scoring points than finding solutions. We've lost the ability to engage in civil discourse, to disagree without being disagreeable, to consider the possibility that we might be wrong. In this age of misinformation, it's easy to fall down the rabbit hole of conspiracy theories and pseudoscience. We're so bombarded with information, much of it false or misleading, that we've lost the ability to discern fact from fiction. We've outsourced our critical thinking to algorithms and influencers, allowing them to shape our beliefs and worldview. We've become passive consumers of information, rather than active participants in the marketplace of ideas. But all is not lost. There are still those who champion the importance of critical thinking, who teach us to question everything, to seek out reliable sources, to evaluate evidence before forming opinions. They are the hope for a brighter future, a future where we value reason over rhetoric, where we seek out truth over tribe, and where we reclaim our ability to think for ourselves. The future of our democracy, our society, and our planet depends on our ability to think critically, to question everything, to challenge the status quo. The time has come to unplug from the matrix of misinformation and reclaim our minds. 3. Geography and history's double-edged sword. From the towering peaks of the Rockies, snow-capped sentinels against a vast sky, to the fertile plains of the Midwest, where amber waves of grain stretch as far as the eye can see. From the sun-drenched beaches of California to the bustling cityscapes of the East Coast, this vast expanse has shaped the American identity. But this very abundance, this sense of self-sufficiency, has also sown the seeds of ignorance. Why venture beyond your borders when everything you could ever want is right here? Why explore foreign cultures when your own seems to offer everything? Why learn another language when English is the lingua franca of the world? This isolationist mindset is deeply rooted in our history. Manifest destiny, the belief that America was destined to conquer the continent, fueled westward expansion and a sense of exceptionalism. Yet, this exceptionalism has morphed into a dangerous myopia. We become a nation of homebodies, content with our creature comforts, blind to the struggles and triumphs of the wider world. The world shrinks when you never leave your backyard. It becomes a flat screen, a series of headlines, a distant rumble of conflict, a vacation destination, not a place to understand. Our ignorance is not accidental. It is cultivated. It is reflected in our political discourse, in the slogans that echo through the ages. America first, they cry, but what does it mean to be first if you're last in understanding? We've built walls, both literal and figurative. We've turned our backs on international cooperation, retreating into a bubble of self-delusion. And in this bubble, ignorance thrives. It festers, metastasizing into a cancer that eats away at our ability to empathize, to collaborate, to solve global problems. We've traded curiosity for complacency, empathy for apathy. We've chosen ignorance over knowledge. 4. Education, the falling standard. The hallowed halls of American education, where dreams are born, and promptly suffocated by standardized tests, budget cuts, and a curriculum that's about as fresh as a week-old Lunchables. We're talking about a system that's less School of Rock and more like School of Broken Promises. Remember those "we're number one" chants? Well, turns out we're not exactly acing the global education rankings. In fact, we're falling behind like a student who spent more time on TikTok dances than studying for the SATs. Math? Science? Reading comprehension? Meh, who needs M when you can recite the entire Kardashian family tree or explain the latest viral dance craze? But hey, at least our kids know how to twerk, right? That'll totally prepare them for the challenges of the 21st century. No child left behind, they said. More like no teacher left unburdened or no student left unbeard. Our education system is a factory churning out compliant workers, not critical thinkers. We're so busy teaching to the test, we've forgotten to teach students how to learn. We've replaced curiosity with rote memorization, creativity with conformity. It's like we're trying to raise a generation of Stepford students. And let's not forget the physical environment. Dilapidated buildings that look like they've been through a zombie apocalypse, outdated textbooks that still think Pluto is a planet, and technology that would make a caveman raise an eyebrow. It's enough to make you wonder if we're preparing students for the 21st century or the Stone Age. But hey, who needs qualified teachers and well-funded public schools when you can have charter schools run by billionaires with their own agendas? Who needs critical thinking skills when you can just parrot the talking points of your chosen political tribe? The good news? Our students aren't all mindless drones. They're marching for change, demanding a better future. They're proof that even in a failing system, the human spirit yearns for knowledge, for truth, for a world that makes sense. But will we listen to them? Will we invest in their future, or continue to squander their potential? The answer to that question may determine the fate of our nation. After all, a country is only as smart as its people. And right now, America, we're not looking too bright. 5. Anti-Intellectualism, cool to be clueless. Welcome to the United States of anti-intellectualism, where being smart is about as fashionable as socks with sandals and fanny packs. In this bizarro world, we've traded in our thinking caps for MAGA hats and replaced critical thinking with conspiracy theories. Here, expertise is ridiculed like a nerd at a frat party, critical thinking is labeled a liberal hoax, and ignorance is proudly displayed like a participation trophy. It's a place where the brain cells have staged a mass exodus, leaving behind a wasteland of vapid catchphrases and recycled memes. Remember that time a certain former president suggested injecting bleach to cure COVID? Or the countless times climate change deniers have blamed cold weather on a Chinese hoax? Yeah, we're in that kind of intellectual freefall. We've traded reason for memes, facts for feelings, and nuance for soundbites. It's easier to believe the Earth is flat than to grapple with the complexities of science. It's simpler to blame vaccines for autism than to understand the intricacies of immunology. It's more comforting to cling to conspiracy theories than to confront the harsh realities of the world. Hey, who needs to know the difference between the Civil War and the Revolutionary War when you can rattle off the names of every real housewife in every city? Who cares about the causes of World War II when you can passionately debate the merits of pineapple on pizza? Our public discourse has become a dumpster fire of misinformation, fueled by a toxic cocktail of social media echo chambers, partisan news outlets, and a general disdain for expertise. We're living in an age of alternative facts and fake news, where truth is whatever you want it to be, as long as it confirms your biases. In this anti-intellectual wasteland, knowledge is seen as a threat, a challenge to the status quo. Why bother reading books when you can just scroll through Instagram? Why bother learning a new language when you can just yell louder in English? Why bother expanding your mind when you can just shrink it to fit inside a tweet? We become a nation of intellectual couch potatoes, content to vegetate in front of our screens, absorbing the empty calories of reality TV and clickbait headlines. We're so busy being entertained, we've forgotten how to think. But not everyone has given up on the power of the mind. There are still those who believe in facts, in reason, in the pursuit of knowledge. They are the resistance, the guardians of truth, the champions of critical thinking. And their fight is more important now than ever. Because in the battle between knowledge and ignorance, the stakes are nothing less than the future of our nation. 6. Political polarization, the echo chamber effect. United States of division, where the only thing more polarized than our politics is our choice of ice cream flavors. Red versus blue. Left versus right. It's a nation divided, where the only common ground seems to be the battlefield of social media. We become a nation of echo chambers, where everyone is shouting their opinions at the top of their lungs, but no one is actually listening. It's like a never-ending game of who can be the loudest and most outraged, with no winners, just a lot of sore throats and bruised egos. In this toxic environment, compromise is a dirty word, civility is for suckers, and facts are optional as long as they fit your narrative. We're so busy fighting each other, we've forgotten how to work together to solve the problems that actually matter. Our political system is paralyzed by partisanship, unable to address the challenges facing our nation. Climate change? Gun violence? Economic inequality? It's all just fodder for the outrage machine, another opportunity to score points against the other side. We become so entrenched in our own tribes that we can't even agree on basic facts anymore. Is the Earth flat or round? Are vaccines safe and effective or a government conspiracy? Is Donald Trump a genius businessman or a narcissistic con artist? It's like we're living in two different realities, each one reinforced by our own curated news sources and social media feeds. We've lost the ability to have civil conversations, to challenge our own beliefs, to consider the possibility that we might be wrong. But it doesn't have to be this way. There are still people who believe in dialogue, in compromise, in the possibility of finding common ground. They're working to bridge the divide, to build bridges instead of walls. They're the hope for a better future, a future where we can disagree without being disagreeable, where we can work together to solve the problems facing our nation, and where we can rediscover the lost art of civil discourse. 7. Religious fundamentalism, faith over facts. United States of holy contradictions, where we pledge allegiance to the separation of church and state, while simultaneously blurring the lines between the two. A nation where faith is a virtue, but blind faith is a vice. We're a land of devout believers, but also a breeding ground for religious extremism. Where some folks are more concerned about what happens in the afterlife than the very real problems we face here on earth. For some, faith is a comfort, a source of guidance. But for others, it's a weapon wielded against reason and progress. They reject scientific consensus, deny basic human rights, and cling to archaic beliefs that belong in a history book, not a policy debate. In the name of God, they condemn women for making choices about their own bodies, deny children life-saving vaccines, and spread misinformation about sexuality. They're so busy fighting imaginary demons, they've lost sight of the real ones lurking in our midst. It's a twisted irony, a nation founded on religious freedom, now held hostage by those who would impose their beliefs on everyone else. It's a land where love thy neighbor is conditional, where thou shalt not kill apparently doesn't apply to certain groups of people. It's not just about individual beliefs, it's about the influence of religious fundamentalism on our society. It's about politicians who pander to the evangelical vote, about school boards that censor textbooks, about communities that shun those who dare to question dogma. The consequences of this religious zealotry are real and devastating. It's LGBTQ+ youth being bullied, women being denied reproductive health care, and scientific advancements being hindered by those who cling to ancient myths. But amidst the darkness, there are voices of reason, beacons of hope. Scientists who champion evidence-based policies, educators who teach critical thinking, and activists who fight for equality and justice. They remind us that faith and reason can coexist, that compassion and tolerance are not signs of weakness, but of strength. They give us hope that even in the face of fanaticism, there is a path forward, a path towards a more enlightened, more inclusive society. 8. Consumerism run amok, shopping our way to stupidity. Shop till you drop, where happiness is measured in Amazon Prime deliveries, and retail therapy is the answer to all of life's problems. It's a land where bigger is always better, where more is never enough, and where the pursuit of material possessions has become a national obsession. We've become a nation of shopaholics, addicted to the dopamine rush of buying new things. We shop when we're happy, we shop when we're sad, we shop when we're bored, we shop when we're, well, you get the idea. It's like we're trying to fill a void in our souls with stuff, but the more we buy, the emptier we feel. We're drowning in debt, our closets overflowing with clothes we never wear, our garages crammed with gadgets we never use. We're working longer hours, taking on multiple jobs, just to keep up with the Joneses, who are probably just as miserable and in debt as we are. We're bombarded with messages telling us that we need more, more, more. That happiness is just one purchase away, that our worth is determined by what we own, not who we are. We've become so consumed by consumerism that we've lost sight of what truly matters. We're not just buying things, we're buying into a lie. The lie that happiness can be found in a store, that our worth is measured by our possessions, that the more we have, the better we are. Consumerism has turned us into mindless consumers, slaves to our own desires. We've become so obsessed with acquiring more that we've forgotten how to appreciate what we already have. We've lost the ability to be content, to find joy in simple things, to connect with others on a deeper level. But there is another way. A way that doesn't involve maxing out our credit cards or filling our homes with unnecessary junk. A way that focuses on experiences, relationships, and personal growth. It's a way that recognizes that true happiness comes from within, not from without. It's a way that values people over things, experiences over possessions, and connection over consumption. It's time to break free from the chains of consumerism and reclaim our lives. It's time to stop shopping our way to stupidity and start living our way to happiness. Is that the reason some countries are not welcoming of Americans? Check this next video to find out.